Hey, this is part two. I forgot to dump the trash. Uh, what's next on the agenda, huh? I got no idea. I haven't thought about it. Oh yeah, feelings. Yeah, there are no words to describe that to come out of me right this minute because I have cried so much, so often, and so deeply, particularly in Reno, Nevada, for 4 days, and it takes a lot out of you. And I realized since I was a little child that you don't want to lose that. I realized when I was a child growing up, there's a reason that there is a tear duct. The creative intelligence of the universe would not provide something for you that's in that design if there wasn't some function for it. It's not like it's some random anomaly that doesn't have some purpose or function as to why it does what it does. There has to be something intelligent about why it's there because it must perform some function. So now we're connected to the emotional state, feelings, the emotions of a child. And so when that inner child has been activated, that's when the real healing really begins to kick in because you know how far back it goes if you want to start with the first fetus, or if you will, the first cell, the first cellular consciousness. So the tears that I shed, particularly 4 days straight, was like an ocean full of tears. When you have the capacity to feel everything that's happening in this planet and the loss of energy through everything that is here, that represents a living cell, a living organism that isn't experiencing what love is. So that inner child was really a journey. From the moment I came out of my biological mother's womb, was to rebuild myself and do work at the fastest possible speed that I could because I realized it was going to track me against my own road trip, my own timeline. Ashaya Diane was absolutely right about that because the level of precision in which it takes place is mind-boggling to most folks. Most folks that I've met. Um, but you would understand that um, from an oversoul consciousness perspective. Not only how much energy that is, but the larger formation that is made up of that, which you realize being with other musicians, they're ascended masters, it comes natural. And it's like I used to say, it's like falling off a log. Hey, you want to fall off the log for the day? Fall in the water. The water's there to catch you. Wow, that water feels good. Thank you. So the universe becomes like a fun zone, a playland, right? Go play, have fun. You're experiencing love everywhere you go. Everybody's having fun. That's the first thing I noticed when I was growing up with smiley faces. But you can tell over time those that have experienced an enormous amount of trauma because you can see the form and shape on their mugshot, on their face. You can read their the flow of their energy on how much energy they're running on. You know, whether their battery's being drained and how beat up they've been since they were a little child, since they came out of the womb. You can actually measure that over time, space vectors over time, between the time they're a child throughout their life. And that really is their ability to maintain, to regenerate, bioregenerate themselves like they're not aging at all. And that's what eternal living life creation spheres are. And I never forgot my memory of that because I'm in a place where that's already there. So that's why when I was a child, I remember I'm already there. I'm already where that's happening. Okay, so I grabbed a zip line, right? And it's like coming down a flag, spiraling all the way, fucking way down a rod, right? And maintaining perfect balance to the extent to which you can do that when you're being hammered with antennas. So those are DNA wars, which are frequency wars, which are network wars. Network, a net, right? Communication platforms, communication systems. So it's all signals intelligence. You know, remember Patty, what she said? Hey, they're walking all over guys' signal. I call her mama. I've known her forever. We go to school together. Yeah, we do. And so it's the gift is that you know that you're everywhere at once. So slow down, right? Take your hat off, put your feet up, and enjoy the ride. You remember the magic carpet ride? I dove right into all those movies. Because you know there's consciousness that's creating those places, right? That they're experiencing all those stories. They're written in books. You want to go run that story? Go run that program app? Go into a library. Go read a story. Get lost. You might not find your way back. Well, remember Jason and the Golden Fleece? All this stuff is actually waking people up. If you know the difference, if you know the one from the other, right? Remember, as a creative artist, we are living in our own creative story. That's a living story, which is a living life book, because that's living spirit that is on fire. Living that story. You're a living story. So you're living and recording your book, writing your book as you go. What a journey, see? And so it has, it's fun. That's the child, that's the inner child in me. I tell Karen now many times, I've never left home. I'm always there. So the spirit, represented by the amount of energy in an oversoul that wants to be balanced, feels everything up at the deepest level. There is. Which means that love goes as deep as it can go, but it doesn't ever end because it's always there, because it's eternal. So you know what it feels like to be in the presence of being truly loved by somebody, because they treat you in a way in which you know that because you experience that. So that's why being kind and gentle and, for me, it's equally balanced. But what it means is that you're monitoring your motor all the time, right? Because you're staying tuned with all the waves that are going on, and when you're a polarity integrator, you're naturally balancing anything that isn't. And that is the beauty of being, that is the gift, the eternal gift of being a mana, is your ability to do that. Because you learn how to run a radio star network. And that is a musician, a real musician, which is a musician, a poet, an artist, anything you want to be in that movie. Because you are the living director of the creative story that you created. Because it's your energy, your living energy, that wrote that story. So when I think of my children, right, other stars that are born, then I will share with them stories that bring tears to their heart. Because they're learning how powerful the magic of love is. Because that's the energy that heals us. It brings us back to the one. It brings us back to experience balance again. And that's what atoms, a natural state of consciousness, an atom, is naturally seeking balance. So it doesn't have to do any work. Let the universe run on its own. And it will take care of itself naturally. Because love naturally takes care of us. So that's natural protection, which is the real autoimmune system. I know I've had to do that with me. You know, when I was laying in a Ford Explorer in a rest stop on Interstate 5 between, where was that, Mama, Bakersfield and where that big turnoff goes over there to the San Jose area. I can't remember that highway. I think they call that the Golden Freeway. No, that's right. They call it Golden West Freeway. When you come out of San Jose and you come through, what is it, Walnut Creek, all on that side. They've redone that whole area from when I grew up there in the mid to late 1950s. Living in a little place called Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little story about one thing that happened in that little classroom that I was in, because this is significant when you think of historical stuff, right? Stuff we're still in our memories, right? Particularly my father, on my father, wow, both my biological parents' line. My father fought during World War II. My father was born, a year before World War I. So my father lived through the Great Depression, right? Was flying biplanes. You know, I had to been flying biplanes because my dad went into the United States Navy. Well, my dad was flying airplanes for Grumman, and he went to Rensselaer Polytechnic. So he came out of Rensselaer Polytechnic as an aeronautical engineer, got his pilot's license, and then was flying airplanes for Grumman and delivering airplanes from Grumman to Pensacola, Florida, to the U.S. Navy. This is before the war broke out. But my dad saw the writing on the wall, so he went to the United States Navy. They started him out as a first lieutenant, as I remember it. He was already a licensed pilot, so he went to Pensacola, got his wings, right? And he's off and running. So the point in all of this, I suppose, is the stories that we live in, that we tell, right? So I realized as a child, I don't live in war stories. I don't write war books. There was a gal who was part Cherokee that I spent some time with, and she saw a big part of a library that I had one time in books that represented all military stuff. You know, all the decor, the order of battle, the order of battle. I went and looked at everything that the Nazis did in World War II based on what you could find in print through the Bundesarchives and other places that you can acquire military information, right? But you realize that records can change. You know, the Nazis were experts at shredding and changing things in time. Okay. But they kept meticulous record keeping because that's what the universe does. The universe is a record keeping system. Master librarians, right? Running circulation libraries, you know, circulated blood, circulated water, circulated air, you know, rotate, you know, rotate it out. You know, rotate that soldier right out of business. Rotate that unit right out of business. Rotate it right out of here. A turnstile. Going through the phases. You know. I know. Very good, young lady. I am very happy for you. I hope wherever you are, you're doing well. And you play beautiful music. And thank you for everything you did. So this is where, so you can see how it was, it's a two-edged sword. That's what this is, actually. It allows a lot of folks to grab a microphone and be seen or heard by folks from all over the world. But it obviously has its downside. So I'm not going to go into wanting to experience something that isn't what love is. Because this was a very powerful day. The last few days have actually been very powerful days. That's why this phone updated itself. All right, itself. What it is. But thank you for the information that you provide me. Thank you for keeping me up on what's going on with Bill O'Reilly and Karen McDonald and all the folks that I know as friends that are in my windows, right? That I share what I learned through what I experienced with them, right? So I keep it simple because I'm just like a little child that never left home, right? I used to have fun with this, with Mama Earth. Being a little girl and pigtails and a yellow like a little girl wears a yellow dress, right? And sitting at a small little wooden chair with a wooden little desk, right? With a laptop and the stories are just living dreamscapes. That's what I know, which means the conscious mind that is always awake is never asleep. And so the conscious mind is always experiencing what it's creating while that's happening, which is like you're not ever really asleep. You're consciously awake, always awake. It's another way to describe that would be that the energy's never off. The consciousness is never off. That energy is always on. So it's like once the fire was lit, right? You can't escape consciousness. It's like you can't escape the mind of God. So I used to hear that, not in that exact order, but it's like synonymous with that. That it's like experiencing that. I'm experiencing, the multiversal, the universal mind of God, God source, the Godhead, the source from which it all comes, prime creator, Sophia, the grand creator. I make it simple through my own heart, okay, which means because we love to use letters and numbers to assign that language in the way that sounds to how we describe or represent what it is that we are in energy, what we're connected to with our soul. So I've known it as I was a little kid. I keep it very simple because particularly as it related to religious programming. I am what love is in living spirit. I am happy to meet you. Right? Now you know who I am. Which means I'm not going to do any harm to you. You got nothing to worry about. I'm not here to do any harm to you. I'm, I'm an artist, a musician, a poet, a storyteller. What do you want to do? You want to go have some fun? You want to create this? You want to create that? You want to create this? You want to create that? Let's go. I'm on fire. Let's go create a universe together. See, Mara, I'm going like this. And so if you got a partner with you, right? And I got a partner with me. It's like it's called being fused. Like I made a chip. So you've chosen to serve forever. Yep. I want there to be no mistake on what I do for the rest of forever, which is you're always on fire to give energy away. And so do not ever separate me, because this is how it is in energy with atoms. You don't ever want to be separated as an atom from the way that the female side is described. So you're always with that side. As a matter of fact, you're the same. You're in perfect balance. That's what a mono and air is when they're joined as one. You're in perfect balance. That means that all the spheres, all the atoms cycle in absolute perfect balance. That's really what it is. So that becomes a blast furnace. That's an eternal blast furnace. That's a cosmic level star. That's a crystal star. That's the atom seed cell, the first. So you've chosen to serve forever. And once you've chosen to do that, you cannot be changed. Now all your energy belongs to the one. That's called total surrender of X. That's total surrender to one. So that's how you measure speed. Is the unit of consciousness that refuses to surrender all of its energy unto serving all of creation. And the reason that it holds on to that one electron, which is a unit of consciousness, is because it's holding on to energy for energy security. So when you're experiencing the eternal life creation as it all began, you're not experiencing anything less than that wherever you go. So you're not ever running out of any electrons, so you never experience a loss of electron ever. I know, Mama. And the very idea that you would mean to say that the source is not giving you enough electrons? Why do you think you need a thermostat? Show them that. Ask them that. I know they don't want to hear that either. We love you all. We love you all. Have a good night. Be good to yourselves. Take care.